As the man accused of shooting and killing a northern Kentucky couple makes his first court appearance in Washington County, we are learning more about his criminal background.
A southern Kentucky man is in jail accused of trying to kill his mother and stepfather, but the crime occurred while the three were traveling down a roadway.
And we're tracking breaking news out of Michigan where 4 people were shot, 3 killed in a shooting at a courthouse.
This is WKYT News at 5.
Good afternoon. Police still have not found their bodies, but a man charged in the murders of a Kentucky couple went in front of a judge for the first time today. Police say that Craig Pennington shot and killed Robert Jones and Crystal Warner.
The couple was last seen July 3rd when they were checking on rental property they owned in Washington County. Pennington lived in that home. WKYT's Hillary Thornton is in Springfield with our top story at 5.
Craig Pennington's attorney entering a not guilty plea on his behalf this afternoon inside of Washington County District Court. We have learned that Pennington is a convicted felon and, according to the judge, has an extensive background outside of Kentucky. Pennington making his way in front of the judge this afternoon after being arrested Friday for the murder of Robert Jones, known as Bobby, and his girlfriend Crystal Warner. The couple was last seen alive checking on the Texas Road rental property Jones owned. Family members say he was having some problems with the tenant, who we now know is Pennington. Those living in the Texas Road cabin initially telling investigators Jones and Warner did check in but left the property a short time later. The couple never making it home, family members knowing something was wrong. Friday, their vehicle found abandoned at an exit off of Interstate 75 in Georgetown. Then a few hours later, investigators telling the family the couple had been murdered. According to his arrest citation, a witness told police he saw Pennington shoot and kill the couple at that cabin. Their bodies have yet to be found.
We love Crystal and we love Bobby, and we just want him to, if he knows where she's at or where they at, let us know where we can find her body and put her at rest.
Now, because of that extensive background outside of Kentucky, the judge did not want to set a bond for Pennington, but at the request of his attorney, a bond was set at $2 million. In Washington County, Hillary Thornton, WKYT.
Following Pennington's arraignment, the couple's loved ones were back out looking for their bodies. We will take you to that search coming up at 6. We continue to follow breaking news out of Michigan. 3 people are dead, including the gunman, after a shootout inside a courthouse. It happened about 2:30 this afternoon at the Berrien County Courthouse in St. Joseph. The sheriff says 2 bailiffs were killed in the shooting. A deputy sheriff was also shot and is in stable condition. The sheriff says several civilians were also injured, but it's not clear how many or the extent of their injuries. The sheriff says the gunman died following that shootout.
It is a shocking crime. State police say a Knox County couple was attacked, their throats cut while driving down the road. The woman's son is now charged with attempted murder. As Phil Pendleton reports, police are trying to figure out a motive for the gruesome attack.
Police are telling us that 35-year-old Joe Gibson was in the back seat of his family's car. He is accused of taking a pocket knife and reaching around and slashing the throat of both his mother and then his stepfather. And now he is charged with attempted murder. The crime happened on Kentucky 1803 in Knox County near the Laurel County line. Police say after Gibson seriously wounded the two, he got out of the car. Another relative then drove 49-year-old Randy and 52-year-old Connie Smith to a nearby home on Blackwater Road in Laurel County for help.
I tried to get her not to cry. You know, she was crying pretty much and trying to tell me, you know, and I asked her who done that to them. And she said her son, Joseph.
Police say they're not sure what caused Gibson to attack the two.
We don't know exactly what the motive is, but we do know that drugs and alcohol play a factor into this investigation.
Both victims were airlifted to UK Hospital, and those who witnessed the horrific aftermath are in shock over what they saw.
So I just moved on, you know. I just stood there with her, trying to kind of console her.
Police say Connie Smith is improving, but Randy Smith remains at UK Hospital with more serious injuries.
Still trying to figure out what the motive was, why you would cut your mother's throat and also your stepfather's throat while driving down the roadway. I mean, that's still trying to figure that out.
35-year-old Gibson is in jail charged with 2 counts of attempted murder. In Knox County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
We did call the jail to see if Gibson wanted to talk to us. He at first agreed to speak to the media, but later changed his mind.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump just arrived in Lexington. The presumptive GOP nominee will be speaking at a private fundraising event at the Aviation Museum.
Tickets to the private event range from $250 for general admission to more than $5,000 for a picture with Donald Trump. WKYT's Monique Blair is live outside the Bluegrass Airport. Monique?
Well, Sam and Amber, that fundraiser is kicking off right now at the Aviation Museum of Kentucky, and I can tell you Donald Trump is here. Just about 10 minutes ago, we watched as Donald Trump's airplane flew in here to the Bluegrass Airport. Those attending this event will have to pay more than $5,400 per couple to take a picture with the presumptive Republican nominee. Earlier today, Trump stopped in Virginia Beach and said the attack on the Dallas police officers was an attack on our country.
We've also seen increasing threats against our police and a substantial rise in the number of officers killed in the line of duty. Very big rise.
Trump went on to say America's police and law enforcement are what separates civilization from total chaos. Meanwhile, a couple hours ago, the Reverend Nancy Jo Kemper, who is the Democratic candidate for Kentucky's 6th congressional district, held an anti-Trump press conference to discuss what she calls Trump's hateful rhetoric.
I think Mr. Trump wants to divide us more, that he is exercising a politics of fear and animosity to build that up in the hopes that by dividing us, he can get elected.
Now, this is Donald Trump's 3rd visit to the state of Kentucky so far this year, but this is his 1st visit to Lexington during his campaign for presidency. Reporting live in Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Monique, thank you. And Trump is expected to select a vice presidential running mate this week ahead of next week's Republican National Convention.
A courtroom security officer has been fired after he posted an inappropriate comment on Facebook. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Anderson County. The Anderson County Sheriff did not identify the part-time employee, but said he fired him immediately after the employee admitted sharing the third-party post. The Anderson News says the post was racially charged and appeared to be in response to the deaths of the Dallas police officers. The sheriff said the post in question does not reflect the values of the sheriff's office. In Perry County, a man wanted in a 2-year-old murder case is now in jail. Hazard police arrested Alan Williams last night after checking on a report of a woman in danger at a motel. A grand jury just indicted Williams 2 weeks ago. He's charged in the stabbing death of Edward Hughes in December of 2014 outside the Cherokee Hills Apartments in Hazard. And in Lawrence County, just a week after a Walmart was damaged by a tornado, a portion of that store is set to reopen. Managers at the Louisa location hope to have the grocery section open tomorrow morning at 8. The Walmart pharmacy opened back up Friday. The store was packed with shoppers when a tornado blew through last Monday. Luckily, no one inside was hurt. The National Weather Service confirmed it was an EF2 tornado.
Now, we've had a pretty good day, if you don't mind a little bit of humidity, but it doesn't look like these dry skies are going to last through the week. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey gives us a sneak peek at what's ahead. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think the stormy pattern, Sam, is on the way back to the Bluegrass State after a little 3-day break. I think we're getting back into the swing of things as we go into our Tuesday. But that Monday you mentioned looking awfully nice out there. Blue sky over top of us. And by July standards, 40% humidity is absolutely nothing. It still feels nice, courtesy of a northwesterly wind at around 5 miles an hour. Most areas into the mid and upper 80s. Guess what we call that around here? That's normal for this time of year. Eastern and southeastern Kentucky, we are a little cooler than normal today with some more in the way of clouds and some scattered showers and some thunderstorms going up across the southern tier of counties. A lot of this stuff, though, is on the decrease now. Folks around McCreary County, back over toward Lake Cumberland, we've had some isolated stuff for the better part of the afternoon. But let me show you what is coming our way tomorrow. Have a little weak boundary that is across the Knoxville, Nashville, Tennessee areas. Think of that as the dividing line between some more juice. That is going to lift its way to the north tomorrow. So what is showing up now on that hour-by-hour radar through the evening and overnight, that is essentially nothing, will increase as we go into the day tomorrow. And we've got to be careful now, given how wet things have been over the past 2 or 3 weeks, for some of these storms to pack a heavy rain punch. I think that starts tomorrow and may kick into high gear later this week into the coming weekend. The soggy details coming up in a few.
Chris, thank you. Funeral arrangements have been announced for some of the 5 police officers killed by a sniper during a protest in Dallas on Thursday.
Investigators now say the gunman had plans for an even bigger attack. Danielle Nottingham has the latest from Dallas.
Police officers held a moment of silence outside Dallas Police headquarters at the memorial to the 5 fallen officers. Police say gunman Micah Johnson had been planning an even bigger attack. CBS News has learned Johnson had hundreds of rounds of magazines attached to his body, indicating he was ready to try to kill more people. A bomb on a police robot killed him.
This wasn't an ethical dilemma for me. I'd do it again, Keith. I'd do it again to save our officers' lives.
Dallas Police Chief David Brown praised his department. He said it is committed to community policing and encouraged those who have problems with law enforcement to become part of the solution.
Get off that protest line and put an application in. And we'll put you in your neighborhood and we will help you resolve some of the problems you're protesting about.
Wakes will be held for at least 3 of the officers tomorrow, with funerals planned for later in the week. Detective Margie Argumedo is part of the department's honor guard.
It still even seems unreal. It's almost like we're going to see them again. And but once we start getting to the funerals and visitation, that's when everything's going to come crashing down, and that's when it's going to be very, very real that we will never see them again.
President Obama is scheduled to speak at a memorial service for the officers Tuesday. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Dallas.
9 other officers and 2 civilians were wounded in the attack.
A portion of US 25 in Madison County will be closed for 2 weeks. We'll show you where coming up in about 10 minutes.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Monday, starting out a brand new week with decent weather overall across the region. Kind of a continuation of where we were this weekend. Southern Kentucky, though, getting a little iffy at times today. Look at the temperatures. Normal to below normal into much of central and eastern Kentucky. It has not been a hot summer by any stretch of the imagination. I do think it's going to end up hotter than where we have been as we get into especially the month of August. But right now, I'll take into the mid and upper 80s for central Kentucky with low humidity. Unfortunately, that low humidity part's not going to last. 81 Somerset. Look at Harlan at 78 degrees. Heat index, forget about it. It's not, there's no heat to really speak of out there today. We'll look at your Defender radar network, seeing a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms, southern and southeastern parts of the area. That's why our temperatures are being held down compared to your neighbors to the north. Speaking up to the north, dry skies from Indy over toward Columbus. We're watching the south, though, into parts of the volunteer state of Tennessee. Juice down here, lifting its way onto the north. See the little plume of moisture from Atlanta back toward the southwest. You've got another little plume of some moisture from Memphis down into parts of Mississippi. That's going to lift to the north tomorrow, and I like our storm chances a little better tomorrow than what I was thinking earlier in the day, maybe even earlier than coming on the air at 4 o'clock. We go through 7 tomorrow morning into the afternoon. Atmosphere is primed tomorrow for some locally heavy downpours with showers and thunderstorms that go up. No, it's not going to rain all the time tomorrow. You know the drill. You'll get a little thunderstorm that can put down some very heavy rain. It'll go on its merry way, and another one comes in behind it, and we go into the day on Wednesday. Guess what we have? More in the way of some scattered showers and some thunderstorms that will be ongoing. Coming at us in waves. I said last Friday I didn't think this week is going to be as stormy as last week, and I still think that is the case. But it is still going to feature some rounds of showers and some thunderstorms out there. We go through the next 3 days. We go into late Thursday, and the threat for some stronger thunderstorms will be noted across much of central and eastern Kentucky. We expand this rainfall map out for the next week. Some very heavy downpours, a good possibility yet again across the entire region. So the thunderstorm threat, yeah, it's been a stormy summer. It's been a stormy several summers in a row. Don't see that breaking, at least over the next week, with a daily threat for some boomers, and that will include the upcoming weekend. Guys, given how wet the ground is from the past few weeks, yeah, we had a few days to dry out. Got to be on guard for some local cloudbursts yet again.
All right, Chris, we can do it. Thank you.
Live look at Lexington rush hour traffic this afternoon. We cleared the problem there on the north side. The stalled cars now out of the way. And focusing on the south side, outbound Nicholasville Road, South Lime, Southland Drive, all the way out to the Circle, and Man of War looks okay. So does Harrodsburg Road to the crossover. Drive times to Nicholasville still 12 to 15 minutes. To Madison County, no problems across the Clays Ferry Bridge on I-75. Now back to you in the studio.
It was supposed to be a 9-week campaign, but the UK will have a new leader by Wednesday. We'll have details coming up.
And coming up on WKYT News at 5:30, the search continues for 2 men wanted for a violent burglary over the weekend.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
What was supposed to be a 9-week campaign turned into an automatic win for the woman to be Britain's next prime minister.
Theresa May's win in the all-female contest came after her opponent dropped out. Comments that being a mother made her a better choice over the childless May did Andrea Leadsom in.
I would like to pay tribute to the other candidates during the election campaign, and I would like to pay tribute to Andrea Leadsom for the dignity that she has shown today. I would also like to pay tribute to David Cameron for the leadership that he has shown our party and our country.
Current Prime Minister David Cameron announced his resignation after British voters decide to leave the European Union. May will take over on Wednesday. We have a traffic alert for people in Madison County. Part of a major road will be closed the next 2 weeks for repairs.
That stretch of US 25 that is closed runs parallel to Interstate 75 between Clay Lane and Kentucky 2878 Colonel Road. WKYT's Mike Linden has the details.
Just off of I-75 in Madison County is US 25. For people who live along it, traffic can be a major inconvenience.
They'll be running 70, 80 mile an hour, and the speed limit's only 55. And sometimes you'll back out of the driveway here, and before you know it, a car will come over the hill and be right on your bumper.
The road won't be too busy for the next 2 weeks. A stretch of 25 between Colonel Road and Clay Lane is closed for repair. Wilson says it's about time.
2 years ago, it flooded out and washed out down there, and they come in and fixed it.
Kentucky Transportation Cabinet officials say the culvert along the section of US 25 was only temporarily fixed. Now, crews are working on a permanent solution.
Contractors say one of the most important and most involved portions of the construction is to install concrete head walls on both sides of the road. What those will do is act to funnel the water into the culvert, which will prevent the road from becoming washed out again.
The road will reopen in 2 weeks, weather permitting. Wilson says he hopes this time the solution is permanent.
It's a waste of taxpayers' money if they don't do it. If they keep doing it over and over and over, they're spending money that really doesn't need to be spent.
In Madison County, Mike Linden, WKYT.
There is a detour set up on both sides of US 25, but larger trucks must use nearby I-75 to get around the construction.
Coming up on WKYT News at 5:30, we're talking to city leaders about what they're doing to make traffic flow better at one of Lexington's busiest intersections.
It is time now for better living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. A new study suggests some unsanitary habits many children have may not be so bad for their health. Brooke Silva Braga has the details from New York.
Like a lot of kids, Gracie Ingram used her hands to soothe herself as a baby.
When I was little, instead of sucking a pacifier, I sucked my fingers.
And like a lot of parents, her dad, Chris, couldn't seem to stop her.
We felt like we ought to discourage it, but she was pretty tenacious.
Turns out Gracie may have been doing a good thing. A new study published in the journal Pediatrics shows children who bite their nails and suck their thumbs are about 1/3 less likely to develop certain allergies.
Cat, grass, house dust mite, and dog. So those were all reduced, some of them significantly, some borderline.
Researchers say the findings could be another example of what's called the hygiene hypothesis, the idea that being too clean could increase a child's risk of allergies.
Early exposure to dirt is not a bad thing. When they suck their thumbs or bite their nails, they're exposing themselves to additional microbes or dirt, which is stimulating the immune system.
Researchers say this isn't a recommendation for kids to take up nail biting and thumb sucking. This mom suggests just let kids be kids.
You should be playing out in the grass and playing in the dirt, right? That's what kids should do.
Brooke Silva Braga for CBS News, New York.
That study looked at more than 1,000 children from New Zealand from age 5 and followed them into their 30s, while researchers found decreases in the risk for certain allergies they didn't find in association with hay fever or asthma. We have a food recall to tell you about. Continental Mills is recalling its Crusty Ease blueberry pancake mix. The recall affects products manufactured between April of 2016 and June of 2016. The company says a blueberry nugget in the mix is made with a small percentage of flour that was recalled by General Mills over possible E. coli contamination. So far, the company says no illnesses have been reported. Anyone who has the product is asked to call Consumer Relations to receive a refund and then throw that mix away. Concussion rates are rising sharply among children and teens in the United States. Researchers found there were more than 44,000 concussions diagnosed between 2007 and 2014. Overall, 10 to 19-year-olds accounted for 1/3 of those diagnosed. Children in this age range also showed the biggest decreases in concussions being diagnosed over time. Now, here's what's coming up for you at 5:30.